안녕하십니까. Um, 여러분 반갑습니다. That's it. uh, so, I think Andrew, my fellow Indonesian unicorns, have done a great job on explaining about the unicorns in Indonesia. And Bukalapak is also one of the unicorns from Indonesia. I'm going to start with explaining about the market itself in Indonesia and in general about the digital economy in Indonesia, and then move into Bukalapak. So first, Indonesia. Sure, all of you know already about Indonesia, one of the biggest countries in the world, the fourth in terms of the population. But I just want to highlight in terms of the digital economy. So recently, Google and Temasek has this research saying that the potential of digital economy in Southeast Asia will be about 200 or 300 billion US dollars by 2025, and about 100 billion US dollars will be from Indonesia. And this will be driven, one of them, from the e-commerce, which is now in 2018 in the market is about 12 billion US dollars. So it is a very, very big potential. And right now, the market of e-commerce in Indonesia is actually growing at about double every year. Recently, the Indonesian government, led by President Jokowi himself, supported this initiative a lot. He created ministries and also agency to support the industry, one of them by creating this roadmap of digital economy and also roadmap of Industry 4.0. So again, if we talk about the country in general, it is a very, very big opportunity. And in terms of the economy itself, Indonesia, maybe some of you are familiar that we are probably about rank 16 in the world by GDP. But if we look at GDP per purchasing power parity, we're actually number 8. So we're just slightly behind 7 countries. And it is projected by 2050, Indonesia will be ranked number 4 in the world. So again, it's very big potential. And by the way, Indonesia is also number 1 in Southeast Asia or ASEAN. Now, moving on into ourselves, my name is Fajrin. I, together with 2 co-founders, Zaki and Nugroho, we were classmates back in college in Indonesia. We were studying computer science, so we were software engineers ourselves. Not anymore, obviously. But when we graduated, we were then thinking about what kind of business do we want to do? What do we want to build after we graduated from university? And at the time, in 2009, 2010, we saw what happened with e-commerce around the world. In China, Alibaba was taking off. In the US, Amazon has been around, very, very big. In South America, there is Mercado Libre and many other e-commerce from around the world. And we thought that maybe we can start by doing something similar with that. Then we created an e-commerce marketplace because we think that Indonesia is very, very SMEs driven or MSMEs driven, micro, small, and medium enterprises driven, meaning that the big portion of economy in Indonesia is driven by MSMEs. So that is why we created marketplace, because we don't want to sell our own products, but we want to create a platform for everyone, including especially these MSMEs, to be able to become merchants or sellers in the platforms. We started in 2010. It grew. Obviously, before it was very, very small. I think in 2011, we were only able to gather about around 10,000 SMEs. But after a while, we grew. And now, we already secured more than 5 million merchants in our platforms. We have more than 17 million users. And we are also expanding into offline as well. I'll explain to you more about this later on, partnering with over 2 million offline kiosks and agents. Now, in 2017, we became one of the unicorns. Right now, in 2019, we just secured financing rounds latest in October, by the way, by Korean banks, Sinhan. And it valued us at about 2.5 billion US dollars. Now we already process more than 2 billion transactions a day. Now, I think the beauty about marketplace or the beauty about digital economy is that you can only success if you are able to make your ecosystem success. In our case, it's not just about Bukalapak having a lot of transactions, having high GMVs, billions of dollars of GMVs every year, but it's about how we can actually empower all these SMEs. So I think in 2018, the average sales or average GMV per merchants in Bukalapak actually tripled compared to 2017. So that is the impact that we are talking about, that we are actually empowering SMEs through online. This is more details about why we are actually targeting MSMEs. Again, if we talk about the Indonesian economy structure, 95% is actually is comprises by MSMEs. People who are only selling within their neighborhood, people who have limited access to capital and so on. And that's where we want to play. We want to help these MSMEs. And the way we do that through online marketplaces, which I have explained before, but recently in 2017, we also expanded into offline. I think to highlight that, I have a video that I want to show here.
Modalku boleh kecil, tapi harapanku besar. Suka senyum-senyum sendiri kalau ingat-ingat zaman dulu. Masih hafal bener deh rasanya jatuh bangun. Udah gitu cobaan nggak putus-putus. Gitu aja terus. Sampai aku ketemu mitra yang baik hati. Mitra yang bikin aku melek teknologi. Mitra yang datang bawa solusi. Ini baru mitra yang baik. Warungku dipromosiin ke jutaan orang di Google. Tinggal klik, 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 daftar. Gampang. Terus nongol deh di Google. Nambah kenalan, nambah pelanggan, otomatis nambah juga pemasukan. Diomongin deh sama orang-orang. Akhirnya, apa yang aku harapkan jadi kenyataan. Itulah kisah suksesku yang ingin aku tularkan padamu. Dengan mendaftarkan warungmu di Google Bisnisku. Lewat kemudahan Mitra Bukalapak.
So we created this video in partnership with Google, but essentially, it is what we see here is that when we talk about e-commerce in Indonesia, again, it seems big, 12 billion US dollars. But in reality, if we compare it into total retail in Indonesia, it's only about 5% of total retail. Meaning that 95% of the transaction in Indonesia in retail still happens in offline. And when we talk about offline, in Indonesia, majority of transactions that is happening in offline situation is not in like big supermarkets or chain supermarkets, but in traditional retailers like this. So we're talking about millions of this kind of kiosks or small mom and pop stores, which is around, if I'm not mistaken, about 6 or 7 million across the country. So we partner with this warung, we call it in Indonesia, through this program or initiative what we call Mitra Bukalapak. Mitra literally means partner, where we essentially empower this warung into becomes our agents or partners. So how it works is that if you are online savvy, like everyone in the room, you can essentially, if you're in Indonesia, you can just buy something else directly from using Bukalapak application. But if you are not online savvy, you can actually go into this warung, you can go into this Mitra Bukalapak, and then essentially order things there, and then the store owners will process the order from you. Either it's physical goods or digital goods like airtime, electricity bills, water bills, insurance, and so on. So that is what we do since 2017, where before we want to create something to empower SMEs through online, now we are actually essentially saying that we want to empower SMEs in Indonesia through any means of technology, be it online or offline. We don't stop there. Recently, in 2018, we also expand into fintech because we have already established the ecosystem, right? We have merchants, buyers, agents, kiosks. Can we do something on top of that already established ecosystem? One of them is about creating or offering financing or loan services to the merchants. Because these merchants, very small merchants especially, they don't have access to financing. They cannot get loan to the bank because usually they don't have a company, right? They don't have a proper reporting. So with our ecosystem, we know exactly how much each merchant in Bukalapak is making, right? For example, one specific merchant might make maybe $5,000 a month. Another merchant maybe $7,000 a month. So from that data, we can use the data, historical transaction of every merchants, as a basis for credit scoring system. So we're able to giving them loan for them to be able to increase their working capital and hopefully will also increase their transactions going forward. We also provide investment services as well for them because as a marketplace, we hold the money, using escrow services. So when someone actually they pay to Bukalapak, we will hold the money until the merchants send the goods, and the goods are received by the buyers. Only then we will send the money to the merchants. So before we ask them, before when they want to withdraw the money, we only withdraw the money to their bank account. Now we actually offer them, hey, look, you have these sales, $5,000. Maybe some of them you want to invest instead of just withdraw to your bank account. Maybe you can invest in this mutual fund, you can invest in another financial products. Hopefully you can get better returns than if you just save your money in your bank account. Recently, we also offer other financial products, including insurance, because not many people in Indonesia actually have insurance policy. Now, the problem, one of them is because they don't really understand the benefit of having insurance, or the second is actually simply because it's too expensive. We offer them very, very micro insurance, starting from, I think, less than $10 a year. So it's very, very reachable for them. One of the highlights also that I want to highlight here is that when we talk about the unicorns, one of the challenges that we face, and perhaps also challenges that you guys face in Korea, is regarding the talent. The way we solve it is through partnerships. Usually we have a partnership with the local university for them to be able to access some of our problems. So we give them problems for them to do sort of like R&D services, So for example, we tell them, look, can you optimize this data? Can you do a machine learning projects to improve the recommendation services in Bukalapak and things like that? And it's somewhat working. Now we're actually are easier for us in Indonesia to get technical talents than few or many years ago. The latest thing that we do is also what we call Buka Global. Essentially, in 2019, starting from 2019, our services are also able to be enjoyed by majority of the countries in Southeast Asia. In Singapore, Malaysia, and some other countries in Southeast Asia, and also even outside Southeast Asia, like Hong Kong and Taiwan, they can actually now buy services or buy goods from Bukalapak as well. So before, we are empowering as Indonesian SMEs so that they're able to sell goods within Indonesia, not just their neighborhood, but since 2019, now they're actually able to sell the goods globally as well to many countries. And we're able to do so because first, the SMEs in Indonesia, including the ones selling in Bukalapak, are now more ready as well to sell the products globally. Before, SMEs, when we talk about their products, sometimes the products they don't have certain standards that is required by certain countries. But now, because we give them training and some other tools, they're able to step up. We call it leveling up the SMEs, so that now they're able to do that. The second is market access. With all the internet penetration and everything, people are ready to buy online. And the third is infrastructure. This is where Bukalapak comes into place, because we are providing the platform, partnering with logistic companies and other companies, including one of them is also Gojek, by the way. And through these three pillars of ecosystem, we are able to do so. Why we are targeting MSMEs? Because again, this is the biggest economy driver for Indonesia. I was recently asked a question in a TV station from the interview saying that, what do you think is the best technology? I thought a while before I give this answer, that the best technology, I think, is not based on the type of technology. The base technology is one that can solve the problem in your market or in your context. Thank you very much.